And this is one question that it's all over the internet. I'm sure that you guys have wondered about evolution. If evolution is true, does that make Genesis a myth? And if Genesis is a myth, what does that make Jesus? And you kind of already answered that question, but I would like to go a little bit more in depth into it.
Sure. Yes, I think really, if we're very honest, we have to conclude that if Genesis is not true, if that's just a myth, then pretty much all the rest of the Bible is really built on what's in Genesis, and especially those first 11 chapters of Genesis. So while I know there are many Christians who don't like that answer because they feel that they believe the Bible, they believe in God, and they've accepted Christ even perhaps by faith as their Savior, and they would say that they absolutely believe the Bible as their source of truth. But for some reason, they make this caveat, this cutout for the first chapters of Genesis, and suggest that it's just liturgical or poetic or something like that. And the trouble is then that really knocks the props out from the rest of the Bible, because throughout the rest of the Old Testament and the New Testament, the assumption is made that those things are historical facts that are in the beginning of the book. So if we take that as myth, it really does make everything else collapse, which I think really is why atheists have chosen to really target those first chapters of Genesis. And so it goes back a long way too. People who are lauded as scientists, who wrote significant writings and things like that, are referred to as these foundational scientists, upon which evolutionary theory is built. If you look at more of their writings, you see that they had an agenda that they admitted to. Like Charles Lyell, who wrote that he wanted to, in my own paraphrase, he wanted to basically do away with the authority of Moses. So he's referring to those first, the Pentateuch, the first 5 books of the Bible.
That's so crazy.
And so his writing was hugely influential on Darwin.
Right.
And Darwin had begun as someone who claimed to be a Christian, but changed his mind after his daughter became very ill and suffered and died. He became bitter towards God and decided he was done with God. And so he was going to find another way to explain the universe that didn't require God. And he read the writings of Charles Lyell, who had already determined that we should try to figure out the world without God, and to do away with the authority of the Bible. So you see, we have a direct conflict between evolutionary theory and the Bible, and it's not that they've come to it just as a result of their even-handed, open-minded scientific exploration. It came with an agenda.